You know, I mean, imagine you being here and you doing all that time for something you didn't do, you know?
I know, and I know what his feeling is. You know, he took my life with a lie.
On October 8, 1988, famous disc jockey Lee Selwyn and several of his friends left a Hollywood nightclub on motorcycles. An altercation broke out between the motorcyclist and an unknown driver, leading to a vehicle chase from Melrose and North Highland Avenue and ending in Blackburn Avenue, where the unknown driver hit Selwyn off the road, causing his death. Shortly after the incident, one of the victims drew 2 rudimentary sketches. A tribute concert was then held, publicizing the crime and collecting a $12,000 reward. The sketches and reward, alongside a crime scene recreation, aired nationally on the popular television show Unsolved Mysteries. This broadcast resulted in an exponential uptick in tipsters reporting innocent lookalikes due to their resemblance to the sketches and their large-scale distribution, a phenomenon coined as the doppelgänger effect. 5 years later, in 1993, there was growing pressure to find the suspect and no real leads. An anonymous phone tip led the police to tunnel in on one of these doppelgangers and arrest Georgia resident Frank Perkins. He was later convicted for life with no physical evidence.
When this incident happened, he got accused of. He said, "I'll go out there and I'll be back home in a couple of weeks because I know, I didn't do this." And I turned around and I looked, and they was broadcasting it, and their brother was on TV.
Frank Perkins being arrested on camera, on national news, it being aired throughout the nation, and the very people that need to identify him are seeing this and saying, okay, that's him. And so is it him because it's actually the person that they saw in the truck that day, the person that ran down their friend? Or is it the person they saw in handcuffs?
Even then, when they looked at the face of Perkins in the lineup, the 3 witnesses, notice what none of them did. None of them said, I'm 100% sure that's the guy who did it. No doubt in my mind, I will never forget that face as long as I live. Nothing like that happened. That's a low confidence identification. All 3 of them said words consistent with low confidence.
And what led me to think that his case required a closer look there were just red flags of a wrongful conviction. There was the impact of having reward money go out for many years, and for people to have a motive to come forward even if they don't have the correct information.
The pivotal tipster, Tisha Daniels, an ex-lover of Frank's, called in claiming her boyfriend, Wayne Owens, gave her the information attributing the crime to Perkins. In court, Owens denied all testaments of this claim, removing any reliability Daniels once had. The other crucial testimony was from Robert Green, a prison informant and ex-cellmate of Frank. His statements to officers and in court were contradictory. His ulterior motives also stemmed from his affair and eventual marriage to Perkins' ex-wife. Lastly, Robbie Pitts, a former Georgia deputy, fixated excessively on Frank. Pitts and another detective took the lead on Frank's case. They then talked directly with witnesses behind closed doors, including Tisha Daniels and Robert Green. This wrongful positioning of Frank and other previous actions in Georgia leads to a reputation of abusive acts of power as an officer.
Do you remember anything about him? Of why, maybe at the time he seemed like a good person to investigate?
No, ma'am, I don't remember none of that. I'm really not comfortable discussing the case, ma'am. I don't even remember what year it was. Was it 93 or 94?
Oh, it's okay.
I wish I could help you. Okay, thank you.
No worries. Okay, sorry, if I could just ask one more question.
Based on my understanding of Detective Pitts and Frank Perkins' relationship and history of criminal activity and coming together, I believe he had a very serious motive to make sure that Frank was in prison for the rest of his life.
But with Mr. Pitts, he was someone who was a little arrogant with his position. But as far as personal things, I'd rather not say.
A lot of the evidence we're looking for now is gone. It's the 80s. They weren't keeping records like they were. So there was no real physical evidence collected. I believe they did some tire track analysis in 2 different spots, and no one ever even said if that's the same car or the same tires that made the marks. Even his own attorney was ineffective. That attorney has a job to poke holes in the prosecution and find the evidence of his innocence. And that attorney just didn't do it. The most apparent issue in Frank Perkins' case is the problems with the identification.
Eyewitness memory is reliable on the first test and decreasingly reliable after that, just like forensic evidence is. Early on, the DNA and fingerprints you collect from a crime scene, you get reliable, not perfect evidence from that. But crime scenes get contaminated too. You don't go back to the crime scene a year later or 2 years later and collect the DNA. But they do that with memory, as if memory is not just like DNA, but it is. In-court testimony is already inherently unreliable, right? And so there's really, the court doesn't understand that the memory that they're trying to get is already gone, it's already changed. But it has the illusion of telling you something because now they're confident, and jurors don't know about memory contamination, judges don't know. It's in court, they're under oath, they're sincere. So I think a pretty strong argument can be made that justice may not have been served in this case.
My brother said, bring Dad to see me. I said, okay. So I had to break that news to my brother. That was tough. And then, of course, later on he passed away, and that was even tougher. Then Toby, he wasn't doing good. He was in the hospital. He had a bad heart, didn't take care of himself, and he passed away. My hope is that when all this is said and done, that we get to spend as much time as we can doing the things that we missed out on.
And he's ready to get out there, and he wants to live his life. He wants to build motorcycles. He wants to have a nice house with a nice shop in the back, and he wants to travel and make up for all this that he's missed out on.
I want to live, yeah. I want to ride, yeah. I want to get out, yeah. I want to play with a dog. I still want to work, But, I want to live, yeah.